Hi, this is Spellsquire's MTG, and today I have an archetype guide on my favourite type of artifact deck, artifact-based recursion. These decks leverage the use of getting artifacts into the graveyard and then bringing them in and out to generate value, then ultimately winning with a combo or swinging with a huge creature over and over again. These decks are often some of the hardest decks to pilot as well as build, as they include lots of moving parts. This is a deck building section. What colours are this archetype in? Red. This type of deck mostly features red, as they have lots of cards that can easily get cards out of the graveyard by sacrificing an artifact you already have on the battlefield. And it can also get cards into the graveyard pretty easily using discard effects. This sort of deck, most of the time, will have red in it. White. This has the second highest support out of the colours. You can straight up return artifacts to battlefield or just return them into your hand, and it has a lot of support cards as well. Blue, this is less of a recursion based colour in artifacts, however it does care a lot about artifacts in general. Black has a lot of creature recursion cards. These can be used well with artifacts, along with game winning cards in this deck like Marionette Master. The final colour is green, and this has little or no support for artifacts, so you very rarely have a green artifact recursion deck. So what components do these decks use? So I'm going to use my Oscar deck as an example. So you're going to need cards to put cards from your hand or from your deck into your graveyard. This can either be self-mill, which is yet less so, because then you get to choose what goes in. However, things like wheel cards, where you discard your whole hand into your graveyard and draw 7. Those can be used as draw effects as well as discarding cards. Red cantrips, things like Cathartic Union and Faithless Looting, you get to draw the same amounts you will put away overall. However, you get to choose what goes in the graveyard with these. And then the next type of cards you'll need is recursion. These are ways to cheaply return an artifact card from your graveyard. Things like Doretti, Goblin Welder, Trash for Treasure. So you can put artifacts you don't want in the battlefield or you don't need anymore. So they've like an egg or something where they've already drawn you a card. If you don't need those anymore, you can then get a card you want out your graveyard. So the reason why you want these cheap is because you can use these to get things like 9 mana artifacts like Darksteel Forge onto battlefield on turn 3, or Mere Battlesphere and start swinging really early on is another thing you can do. Another type of card you're going to want is Mass Recursion. Spells like Scrap Mastery can be used as game-winning spells, as well as starting off combos with things like KCI. Sacrifice Outlets, as before mentioned, Karak and works. Sacrifice Outlets are essential in this deck. These can be used to reuse ETBs off, and then you can recur them again. And then you can have huge turns and prevent exiling of creatures. The artifact creatures you have, you're going to want them to go to your graveyard so you can bring them back again. Having them exiled, they're no use to you then, so you can sacrifice them if someone points an exile effect at them, instead of them going to exile and you never be able to use them again. Eggs, these low CMC artifacts that draw a card when entering, leaving the battlefield or both, and these are disposable artifacts that are often sacrificed in this type of deck. And you're just going to want artifact everything, include as many ramp cards, removal, board wipes, and card draw that either care about or are on artifacts. So if a card says draw cards equal number of artifacts you have, that's better than a card which just says draw 3 cards. Or having mana rocks, having removal, something like a duplicate, is a brilliant card in this sort of deck because you can recur it over and over again. And also, if you want to combo, you want that of course, as these are one of the types of ways to win this deck. And also, due to the number of cards that end up in your graveyard, you can use your graveyard like a second hand to fill up, so you can fill up your graveyard and then find a combo piece, return it to battlefield, and combo. One of the most common combos, which is used in my Oscar deck, is Basalt Monolith and Rings of Bright Hearth. This is a common combo, and once combined, you can make infinite colourless mana. When paired with a Staff of Domination, you can draw your whole deck. Find an X spell like Comet Storm or Fireball, and then kill all your opponents. Because you have infinite mana, you always find that X card. And also, combined with cards like Coldrow for Forge Master, you can tutor up these artifacts as well. So what is the play pattern of this sort of deck? Early game, you want to play mana rocks and fill up your graveyard using cheap wheels or cantrips. Then you're going to want to recur larger artifacts to apply pressure early on. And then you can create value loops with cards like Mere Retriever, Eggs, and a Sacrifice Outlet. And then you can either win with combos, large creatures, or cards like Scrap Mastery. So what commanders can you use with this sort of deck? There is the most popular red commander, which is Duretti. This is often used as a combo commander. It says +2, you may discard up to 2 cards. If you do, draw 2. It starts with 3 loyalty, and it costs 3 in a red. Then it says -2, sacrifice an artifact, and return an artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's basically just a goblin welder, but slightly worse because you can't do it on your opponent's stuff. And then the -10, I believe it is, it'll be on the screen, is you get an emblem. Whenever an artifact card will go into your graveyard, return that card to battlefield and move your next end step. In a Duretti deck, often you want to try and get to that ultimate when you first play Duretti, and if somebody attacks it, then you'll start using your -2 over and over again, as it's unsustainable trying to get up that high loyalty late on in the game. But if you can pull that off, you can often win. This uses its loyalty abilities to put artifacts into your graveyard with its +2, and then get them back with its -2 or other effects. There's a red and white commander, Oscar the Reconstructor. As I said, this is my current artifact recursion deck. This is the newest commander on here. This commander wants to get as many artifacts into your graveyard as possible, and then recur them with its tap ability. Eggs work really well in this deck, things like Mishra's Bauble, because you can pay 0 on your commander and get 2 token copies of Mishra's Bauble to go back on the battlefield. So next card we have Sharoom the Hedgemon, is 3 white, blue and black, so it's Esper. When it's got fly and it's a 5/5 legendary artifact creature, Sphinx. When it enters the battlefield, you may return a target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this one can be used to recur huge artifacts using your commander, and combined with blink spells, this can be pretty insane. There's probably also some infinite loops in there you can do. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but being able to do that. There's probably an artifact which says when it enters exile target creature you control and return it to battlefield. Possibly that exists, I don't know. The next commander is Emery, Lurker of the Lock. This is 2 and a blue. It costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control, and when it enters battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard, so you already get cards into your graveyard. Choose target artifact card in your graveyard and may cast that card this turn. So this uses its tap ability to recur smaller artifacts to generate value and make a value engine. One of the combos you can use in this deck is Chakram Retriever. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, you may untap target creature. If you have a 0-mana artifact which can sacrifice itself, like Mishra's Bauble, you can tap Emery, cast Mishra's Bauble. The Chakram Retriever will see that, or untap Emery, and then you can sacrifice Mishra's Bauble. It goes into your graveyard, and you can tap Emery, you can cast it again this turn, and then you can do that to get an infinite storm count with Storm, or you can draw your whole deck, or various other things. The next commander is Breya, Ethereum Shaper. This is everything apart from green. It's a legendary artifact creature human. When it enters, create 2 blue Foxa tokens of flying, and you can pay 2, sacrifice 2 artifacts, choose 1, deals 3 damage to target player or planeswalker. Target creature gets -4/-4, and you gain 5 life. You can use its removal, life gain, and damage. This deck is more so sacrificing artifacts than recurring them, and you can also blink Breya as well. However, it does recur some small artifacts and flood the board with a lot of them. This is also pretty much a combo commander as well. You can do a lot of combos with Breya, Eldrazi Displacer, Crocodile Line works, and Breya go infinite, and probably many other things as well. With that, you can get infinite mana, infinite sacrifice. It's a pretty good combo. Then you've got Teshar, Ancestor Apostle. This is another combo commander, as it goes infinite with a lot of stuff. This one you cast historic spells, artifacts, and it will return a creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to battlefield. It doesn't specify that it can't be an artifact. So this one you can cast an artifact, get a 3 CMC creature back, and if you sacrifice it again, you can probably create many loops. It's a very overall powerful commander, often works in other artifact decks that care about recurring artifacts. So what are the pros of playing this sort of deck? It's a very explosive deck. You can often go off in a 1 turn, just like that, or you can also make a deck to be fast or slow, or play a deck to be fast or slow, as you can choose when to combo off, how long to keep your value engine going before you attempt to win. And also you can get away with a low mana land count as well, something more like 33 lands rather than 37, as you often have a low curve, or you only need low curve because all your high stuff you can bring back with recursion spells anyway, which also means you can get rid of a higher CMC average curve. So you can get away with a 3.8 CMC curve rather than 3. The cons of this deck: vulnerable to graveyard hate, particularly exiling your whole graveyard, so you can't use it as a toolbox. As I said before, this could be a pro or a con. They're often quite complex to build and pilot. It's a barrier for newer players. Although overall they are pretty fun, or at least I find them fun. However, they can dirt a lot as well. So your opponents could get bored whilst you are playing, comboing, and doing a load of fiddly stuff, which is often what this deck does. So I hope you enjoyed that archetype guide. I hope this was helpful. If you did enjoy, remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.